welcome. Tuelimishwe kwa maswala ya jamii, tutumbuizwe sana mbalimbali, tujuzwe juu ya matukio ya kila pembe, wapa burudani kwa familia nzima.
And very good evening. My name is Likuyani Eli. Welcome to the family edition, because tonight we are still handling marriages that don't work. And tonight is about financial management. Should I say financial mismanagement, with me is Coach Collins Bolo, all the way in Mombasa, Kenya. Good evening, Coach, and how are you tonight?
Good evening, Eli. I'm very fine and well. Thank you, even for us meeting again tonight.
Yeah. Wewe ni ule mtu unakujanga unaonekana Saturday and then you disappear like our money.
Yeah, sometimes it just happens that way. Like today, this afternoon, I had a conference actually for morning. I had a major women conference in Voi. So immediately I finished my part at 6 and started driving back to Mombasa.
What a commitment, sir, and I must say, well done. For those who are wondering why we were late, Coach Collins has to make his way to the studios, and he's here with us tonight to discuss matters financial management. Coach Collins, you know, it's one thing to save marriages that don't work, and you're talking about financial management. Somebody could be wondering, should we be saying management or mismanagement? What's your take?
Thank you, Eli. Issues of finances and money is contributing to a lot of success and failure in marriage, depending on several factors, which actually we need to get some major tips which can help us. Because why is it that when it comes to money matters, some marriages are thriving very well, the same money factor is making others not to thrive? So it's the problem, the money, or our perspective about the money and handling the money. That's where we are starting from. Because if today something is toxic, for example, like a snake venom, if any one of us drinks it, either you are good or bad, the effect should be the same, to kill. But if something, two people use it, one succeeds, another does not succeed, probably the item is not the problem. But the view about it and how we handle it is what is the challenge and the key issue. So there are so many marriages today which are succeeding because of money matter. Either they're succeeding without money, and the men which are succeeding with money. And the men which are failing in the presence of money, and many are failing because there is no money. So where is the problem? Where is the problem? That's the starting point.
That's the starting point. And I believe to just help our audience so that we can engage with one another, we are asking tonight, do you often argue about your financial decisions with your spouse? We are asking, do you often argue about financial decisions with your partner? So if yes or no, tell us. And if it's no, how have you managed to avert this kind of disagreement? So Coach Collins, I looked a little bit into the details of what financial management is. And because my interest was the negative side, I decided to look for financial mismanagement, which is said financial mismanagement is management that deliberately or not is handled in a way that can be characterized as wrong, bad, careless, inefficient, or incompetent. And that will reflect negatively upon the financial standing of a business or individual. When we get our salaries, that's the first part I want us to start. Should we take it to a common account, or should this be deliberately, kila mtu anakuja na yake tunaweka kwa meza, alafu we decide? Or do we just pay bills and then we stay with balance?
I think before you get your salary and you start generating your own income, it's extremely important for you to understand your view and the baggages you have as far as perspective of money is concerned, even before getting to marriage. That's very key, because we need to backtrack what is my view about money, finances, and resources? My view about it will determine how I'm going to handle and how we are going to relate once we are in marriage. So whether you're going to share the money in one common account or separate account is determined by the mindset we have before getting into marriage.
Yeah.
Now, that leads to the following. Before we talk about common account or separate account, when it comes to issues of money matters, are you among the people who believe in pursuing for wealth and riches through a means called looking for money? Because if both of you are people who basically believe in, like, in this life I must pursue riches and wealth is something just to be pursued, then you spot a young man and a young lady, how can we connect to continue pursuing? You realize there cannot be good discussion if from the word go, you are in the process of pursuing. Because you need to understand one thing, either you are religious or not. If you are religious, you need to understand one thing, that God already intends that each and every person to be successful. If you're not religious, there is enough wealth on earth for each and every individual. So what you need is not to develop a culture of pursuing, because when you get tired, you start blaming your partner on that matter. So you cannot discuss about common account or separate account if both of you are people who are in the process of pursuing riches and wealth, which actually it should be a result of a number of factors which I'd like us to address today, so that we can ask ourselves this question. By the way, have I been pursuing and I got into marriage so that I pursue, or I connected myself with someone who is pursuing so that we can enjoy the fruit because of pursuing? That's very key in one way or another, because how we look at it will determine should we have a common account or separate account. Or, for example, you are a kind of a person who believes that every money I get, I have to own. The more I own, the more I am successful, the more I am a real man, I am a real woman, because I own money. There is life all about pursuing to own money, and in owning you feel I have some level of independence because I own money. Now, that attitude of pursuing money and the wealth to own, that instead of understanding that these things are just the part of the, which word can I use in English? The part of facilities which come on our way so that we create our life and other people's life better. You cannot claim owning. A good example, today in Kenya, we know there are, like during 90s, there are men and women who own hotels and several banks account in Kenya and offshore.
Yeah.
Today, they're nowhere. They went to receivership. For receivership, they went to bankruptcy. Now try to imagine if you are the wife to this kind of a person, and what attracted you is the achievement of what he owned. That's the time whereby you hear a wife leaving the husband because he doesn't have what he owned before, because the mindset was owning, or the man leaving the wife because she's not owning what was there before. So before we talk about joint or not, our view about resources is key, because many of us are under a lot of stress because of which of pursuing to own so that we can feel we are independent. Now, when we get into marriage with that kind of mindset, then something happens and what you wanted to own is no longer there. You are in big trouble. Actually, that attitude of thinking to own is a poverty mentality.
Oh, okay. So you're not supposed to own, you're just supposed to create wealth and property and financial, avenues for the family. But you've said we shouldn't even focus on the accounts and all that. So as we start off, what should we do to prepare for us to have an objective view of finances?
What you need to know, your concept on wealth creation and cash flow. Your concept. What's your concept on wealth creation and cash flow? Now, when you talk about cash flow, it's not owning. It's just passing by
You're a medium.
Facilitate, yes, that's a medium to facilitate our livelihood and the life of others.
Yeah.
That's why people who have created a business as a means of cash flow, you realize that their mindset is always, how can I continue solving people's problem? And while solving the problem, the cash is just but flowing at the same time. Different from someone who just believes in employment. He has to work for 30 days, then the check which is going to be disseminated at that particular point is what determines the economical standard of that particular individual, meaning that if he's sacked, boom, finished. Now, our worldview about wealth creation and cash flow is key even before getting into marriage. Why? Because marriage has a lot of ups and downs. And one of the biggest disasters we have today, because most of the people want to which one can I use? Maybe I'm forgetting the right word to use. Most of the people prefer to get an already existing system within marriage so that it can be a good landing.
Soft landing. Yeah?
Soft landing, yes.
Soft landing sort of arrangement.
Yes. It
Established marriages.
Tricky. Yeah, established. Our parents have been established after so many years. But to find a young girl who wants to start marriage, who wants to start with the mindset of, I want a man who is established like my father. And a young man is under a lot of stress to start marriage by being established like his parents at the same time.
Yeah.
Now, such kind of grounds, makes our relationship to be more of a contract related as far as finances are concerned. How much are you bringing on the table? If it is not clear, get out of my way. Because I don't want a man or a woman who cannot bring anything on the table. As much as it is important for us to understand the concept of cash flow and wealth creation in one way or the other. Now, understanding your concept is very key. Why? Because understanding that poverty and lack is not God's creation, but man's doing. I repeat.
Okay.
Understanding that poverty and lack is not God's creation, it's man's doing. Why? Because when man is brought on earth, all the wealth existed. So when there's lack and poverty, it's our creation. Yesterday I was listening to one of my mentors and was saying where he grew up from in Bahamas, there was no poverty as he grew up.
Yeah.
So this idea of that people are poor within a society is something which they are seeing it to be foreign, because their government then was under the queen. And the role of the queen is to make sure that all the subjects get all that they need for their livelihood so that the kingdom mandate can be achieved very well. But with the time, things started changing. Now, no wonder one person is being raised up with the mindset of creating solutions so that he can earn resources, while another person is brought up with a mindset of the world is full of misery and problems. I remember some years back when we were in early primary school, we had a friend, he's late today, he was called Fred Obara Oliko. When he was in class 2, Fred Obara used to say, Africa Gaza, Africa Shida, we were a soar away. Class 2 students saying, Africa Gaza, Africa problems, back in 80s. Now, if a kid who is in class 2 back in 80s was saying there's no jobs in Kenya and there's a lot of problem in Africa, this is a graduate at that early age of being poor and to live in poverty. That's what I'm saying. It's our own creation. Why? Because we have not been brought up and raised in a culture whereby we create resources by solving human problem. That kind of a culture is not within us. Now, because of that, it makes us to feel like we are not aware about the state of our mind. What state of mind do we have so that we can produce and we can be productive in our environment, so that we can determine how resources will flow on our way? Now, if two people are getting into marriage and they themselves as individuals, they have not identified how they can solve certain problems to have resources, what will happen is the moment they meet together, they start struggling, planning from a more hypothetical point of view. So we need higher self-awareness on individual before getting into marriage, so that once I know the ability of cash flow I have, my wife knows our ability of cash flow on the same way. We can sit down and plan. Now, based on the cash flow which we have, how can we have, what percentage should we put for savings? We can use the 80-20 rule, whereby 10% we save and 10% we invest, or 30-70. 10% I give it to God, 10% I save, and 10% I invest. Then every other thing you budget within 70% remaining. Why?
Okay.
Because you have a very clear understanding on cash flow within whatever you're doing, either it is business, whether it is something, whether it's your business, either it's from the work which you are doing, and so forth and so on. So the formula becomes well with that clarity.
We need to come up with formulas. I hope most of us will be able to do that by the end of this broadcast. But let's get to the comment section for everybody that is joining tonight. We are discussing matters, marriages that don't work. And tonight, the subtopic is financial management, or should we say mismanagement. Kibro says, waiting patiently, family edition. Welcome to the show. Noreen tuned in. Steve Rono says, tuned. Karibu sana, Steve Rono. We have Jojo Sarah who says, family edition. Hello, family love. We welcome you. Karibu sana. We have again Kipro Roda Yendi ameamua kuja kwa comment section. Anasema family edition here. We do discuss about our financial issues, and oh my, I am always the one who is not so keen on the expenses and unnecessary bills. Okay. We have wash hands. Grace amesema hapa yeye ameosha mikono kwa sababu hiyo kazi ni ngumu sana. And we are asking tonight in our questions to the audience is, do you often get into disagreements because of financial mismanagement as a partner or with your partner? So tell us if yes or no, and give us the reason so that we can understand you. We are here with Coach Collins Bolo, ambaye amekuja hapa kuwafungulia nyaraka zake za marriages that don't work. Coach Collins.
Yes.
We have looked at the ability of, creating wealth and deciding what percent goes where. But still, we have couples that are struggling, or their marriages are equally breaking, not because someone is cheating, but it's because they are very unable to manage something as small as the monthly budget. Unampea pesa, aende anunue chakula kwa nyumba, they decide hii pesa ninaenda kutengeneza nywele. And then you come home in the evening, there is no food, she's looking well, pretty, but the kids are starving. Would you call that priority, or what do you call it? Misplacement of priorities? Could that be the reason when it comes to financial management or mismanagement?
Such kind of behaviors which most of the time tend to start even at an early life before marriage, whereby instead of having discipline to make sure that each and every money is handled as planned, you switch in hope of getting another money to fix one problem. like people have a gift of getting debts to clear with another debt and another debt, the same kind of a thing. So you can have a good discussion with your husband, then you come up with a list of what needs to be done. Then when money gets into your hands, boom, the brain just changes in functionality. Just like some men who can, before end month payment, they are very sober, very hardworking. But the moment they get their salary, they disappear for the next 3 days. So they can only work well without money on hand.
Coach, are you saying we work for a whole month only to spend the money in 3 days? Is that what you're saying? Is that how bad we're doing financially?
It happens, and most of the time, after 3-4 days, when the money is over, the man gets back in the house. Then he starts saying that I've been bewitched. There's a neighbor who is not happy with me. He sent some demons to me, but the problem it's nothing to do with demons. It is just all about lack of planning, lack of discipline. And what most of the time people lack is what we call the law of the law of delayed gratification. whereby money has come. It's so sweet to feel like, wow, I just need to use it. You see, poverty mindset makes us to feel uncomfortable when money is around. We just have to spend. When it's not there, then we feel like, now I'm okay. You have to understand that you have that disease, money disease, whereby unless it is not available, you are not comfortable. Your comfort comes when everything is complete, even by buying what is not necessary. Now, when one of the party has that problem of lack of the law of delayed gratification, what happens is this: you will decide this money, we are budgeting it for food. Then immediately money gets into your hand. When you're discussing, you're okay, and your intentions are good. But the moment money gets into your hands, you start feeling like my hair is not well. I need to get to the salon.
All of a sudden, you need a new pair of shoes.
You need a new pair of shoes. All of a sudden, you need dera. But before that, you are just okay. Now, such kind of habits, it's important to understand, because these are habits which lead to poverty and lack. And you don't need a prophet to tell you that. You just need to understand, if you continue that way, by the time you get to the age of retirement, you'll be poor, and you'll be blaming your children for not supporting you. Why? Because your appetite level is higher than planning and sticking to your plan. It happens both for men and for women. We need the law of delayed gratification. How can I delay some fun, some party, some enjoyment for some time, and I work out on this project with the resources I have, so that by the end of the day, I can be at a state of rest? No wonder most of the institution people work, you realize what you call support staffs have houses from their little salary they get than people in management who are still paying rent to their landlord. Even some have become tenant to their support staffs. It's all about the law of delayed gratification.
Wow, delayed gratification, which most people do not understand. Even, why is coach telling me this? I've worked so hard. And you know, coach, probably you haven't, but I've had this so many times where people say, wacha nipigie mwili pole. So the guy goes somewhere, they decide they will drink a whole crate of beer, anapigia mwili pole. And then the other night, the other day, Mr. President was very kind enough to extend the curfews. People have forgotten their GPS location to their homes. Sasa wanalala tu ndani ya bar. Ndani ya bar. Mwizi inaisha. The same people will tell you this CBS thing is harassing us. How can they tell us children only have to stay home for 5 days and we're expected to pay their school fees? But then again, it's about the financial management skills and discipline that we put in, because delayed gratification sometimes brings you the happiness you are looking for too. Once you hang the boots and say, now I want to enjoy my heydays. But there's a story that was told about a young man that was on the beach. It was midday, and there was this scholar that was making trips around the world. And that particular night, that particular afternoon, he happened to go by the beach. And at the beach, he found this young man laying on on his back, with nice stars on, enjoying the scorching sun, the environment around the beach. Tuseme kule kwenye Mombasa. And then the scholar asks him, young man, what are you doing? Say, I'm enjoying life. Say, it's midday. How can you be enjoying life? People of your age are working hard and making money. And then he asks him, and then if they make money, they are able to pay their bills. And then if they are able to pay their bills, they are able to live a comfortable life without stress. And then if they have no stress, they can enjoy because they will be able to save enough money until they retire. And then when they have retired and they have saved enough money, they'll be enjoying life like you're doing right now. The young man removed his glasses and looked at him and said, good professor, why do I need to stress myself for all that, yet I'm doing exactly what you just said, enjoying my life. Anyway, delayed gratification. We take a break. We'll be back. We are hanging out with Coach Collins Bolo here in the family. edition. In case you missed last week, this is what Coach Collins had to say.
Becoming compatible has to be very intentional, and you have to know areas which, as couples, you have to work on so that you can build your intimacy. No, you can build your compatibility. Those areas are very recreational intimacy, intellectual intimacy, spiritual intimacy, emotional intimacy, and also sexual intimacy. Very key and very important.
Definitely, we are here with Coach Collins Bolo. Ametuambia we have to figure out the rices, how they work for us. And in case you missed out on that episode, head on to a YouTube channel, which is the today ni Najuma Uma Mudomo. I don't know what's happening. Head on to our YouTube channel, which is the ArtinHeart official, where you'll get a whole complete episode of that. Remember, we started with the wedding matters, and then after wedding, we went all the way. We discussed about unexpected realities, what is making our marriages break down. We talked about compatibility issues, and so on and so forth. So head on there and get a recap of what we talked about. Coach Collins, tunaweza enda kwa comment section kidogo?
Yeah, we can.
Yes, let's see. We have Lenny Kirui amesema following keenly. Thank you so much. Karibu. Lenny says the show is lit. Karibu sana. Agnes Masiga says tuned in. Welcome. And then Zama Coach, that is ingenious of you. Well said. Wewe umegonga ndipo. Alafu umesema ebu rudia rices tena kiasi. Head on to our YouTube channel because we have that right there for you to to be able to go through. Coach Collins Bolo, we need some tips on how to manage family finances. Definitely we'll be going to that in the next quarter of this show. Coach Collins.
Yeah.
So I asked you about the common account where we have gone out there and we have earned money. I'm told for thriving couples, that's what they do. Is it ideal way of financial management?
Now, there are 2-3 ways of doing it. I'll give an example of what I do personally. There are several businesses I do which earns me money, and also my wife works apart from being some business with me, and we earn money. When she gets a check, it is written by her name, and that check belongs to her. When I get checks after doing several meetings and forums, they're written by my name, and that's my check, my money. But when the check converts to liquid cash, it is our money. Now, it's easy for us to talk about it is our money because of the trust level which we have as couples. And by the time it's becoming our money, there's a principle which we usually use, and it states out of this principle. The difference between irrigation and erosion is what water finds on the way to the sea. Meaning that when it rains and the water is flowing to the sea and you have done farming, that one we call it irrigation. When there's no farming, it becomes erosion. Now that one means when we plan before we get the money upfront and the money comes on our way, we can be able to use our money based on the plan we have as a family, because it's a common plan, it's a common project we have as couples. So that by the end of the day, out of our plan, the money becomes a platform of success in our journey of building each other as couples. But when there is no plan at all, when the money comes in, it becomes a platform for fighting and quarreling because there was no plan at all. So when you talk about management, think about planning has to be there. What are some of the basic plans you have as a family and major plan? What are some of the short-term plans you have as a family? What are some of the long-term plans you have as a family? Now, based on that, it will activate us now to see how many channels of resources do we need to come up with as a family so that we can be able to meet our short-term plan and our long-term plan. Then, if things are not working well, do we need to make some backup, fallback plans so that we can work within our budget. I'll give an example. I was having a beach plot and I was running a hostel, and the business was moving on very well. Then one day I took 5 days business trip, and the caretaker who was within my beach plot, who was at Rwandese, when I came back from the business trip, the guy had stolen all my facility. And the room was empty. My mattresses had gone, my electronics had gone, and I just got a call of clients wanting to come for my facility, but had nothing to offer. So what did it mean? That one meant that month, from that month, paying rent in that particular facility was going to be extremely hard. Why? The business was booming so well to pay for itself. Immediately within 2 months, when we realized we cannot recover what has been stolen, we had to come up with a fallback plan as a family. Immediately, we had to get some new tenants in the same facility, get another house in another location, and then hand over the facility. No matter how good it was, how we loved it, we had to. So planning helps, so that when money comes on your way, it becomes an irrigation for your plan than erosion because there's no plan. So meaning as couples, that's why we are saying when you're intending to marry, make sure that your intelligence levels are not so different. You are at some level whereby you can talk, discuss, and plan.
Yep.
Not this kind of an ego. It's the man who is the thinker who has to plan, and the woman is there to implement. No. Men have to make sure that get an intelligent woman who can challenge you, because women have this sixth sense whereby sometimes you can be convinced on something so much and they know it will not work, and you argue with them and it will not work, and your man will just go. So intelligence demands that sometime when she feels she has a query about the project you want to do, you better think twice. She may not sometimes be able to explain, but she can feel it. Maybe you need to do more research on the project and the market before venturing into it. Because for women, if you continue losing and losing and losing, they lose confidence in you, even in the middle of the resources you have, and she'll leave you to walk alone. And that's where trouble comes in. So if both of you, the level of trust and your relationship is so healthy to the point whereby you declare all your money, it is good with you. The other way you can do the 10-10-10 principle. From the money coming in, make sure that it is sorted out, so that the 70, it is within the other planning coming in. So that now, if you have a wife, she can have some float of money by herself to be able to buy issues like sanitary pad. She can buy for herself some clothes. She can buy for herself some things, apart from you supporting her. Because sometimes some men take all the money which their wives are bringing, and the wife even has to beg for money for buying sanitary pad, which it's not good. You are turning her to become a beggar in her own house. So it becomes extremely prudent that in your planning, get to the details of some matters, so that she can be free to enjoy the resources coming even on board for the family. However, there are cases whereby either the husband is so irresponsible because the money handling skill is very poor for him, but the wife, she's good, detailed, and she knows how to handle money. So if you as a man, you realize that my problem is handling money, give it to your wife, plan together, let her handle the money, and let her now facilitate the process of your success. Because when you succeed, what will happen? It is both of you have succeeded. But if it happens that your wife is the one who is not good in handling resources, agree, okay, I'm a good in thinking and planning, you are good in handling the resources. Agree on the same matter, come up with a formula in context to your situation towards bringing success. Very important.
Oh, it's easy. It's very easy, coach, to say agree. But I know when money is mentioned, some things change. And I'm talking money as a general word for finances, you know. And basically, yes, from where we come from, we will limit the management of finances to basically the liquid cash, okay? But assuming we have assets, okay, assets that have value, and assets that if you dispose of, they can make a very great amount of money come in. And then you're supposed to be managing them as the wife or the husband. Lakini when money for that rent comes, it never hits the common account. But you say we have a property. Is this stealing from marriage or from your partner, or how can you define that, coach?
The issue is, do you have a system whereby when money has been paid, it gets to the right place? Now, what sometimes you have good ideas but don't have systems. For example, you have rental houses and people are paying money. Today, it's easy to come up with a pay bill number whereby every tenant uses the pay bill number for M-Pesa and the money gets to the account. Very well. But the problem, you're still using the traditional way. You have to walk to the tenants door to door, start knocking and telling them nipatie pesa yangu hii mwezi. So if it happens that you have a smart wife and you're a responsible husband and she gets the money, high chances she'll prefer to use it for the success of the home than to give it to you as an individual. Or you might be unlucky, she'll get it and build her home where she comes from, because the way she's seeing things with the kind of behavior you have, she better secures another place for herself in case it imeumana. And these cases we get so many times in our counseling therapy room.
But coach, these cases will rise up. I'm sorry to cut you, coach. But this case will come up in your counseling room. But let me take you back to the real world, whereby we have a partner or a spouse who come to you and they tell you, coach, yes, my husband and I want to build a home. But for him, he wants to build a car. He wants to buy a car. Yes, we have the money, but our priorities are different. Though we have goals, but our priorities are different. How do you resolve that kind of stalemate?
Now, the issue is this. Our priority different because we have discussed and never came to a conclusion. Because some, they stay at that point of priority are different because in their discussion, they never agreed. Because the man feels that we need a car, and the woman feels like we need a home at that particular point. Now, maybe the man at the stage where he is, he feels like if I get a car, my identity as a man in the community and among my colleagues looks good and cool. It's an ego, image-related issue. While the woman is thinking about a home, whereby after all is said and done, we can be there with the children and the husband, and there's some level of rest which can come. Unless they sit and agree and they get out of fighting and arguing. That's why the problem, most of the time it ends there. No, I want a car, I want a home. I want a car, I want a home. Now, if they are healthy couples, in the sense that they can sit and each person to have room and give his or her reason why he prefers the car, maybe the man says, no, the way things are moving, I need a car because I want to start Uber business and I'll be driving the car. I'm tired of being commanded left and right from my working place. And the woman believes this man can never make it in business. And the man feels if I run it by myself, I will make it in business. And probably the woman feels she will never because he has failed in other businesses in the past. But this man feels like this time I'm not going to miss it again. But on the other side, the woman feels like we have been paying rent for quite a long time. We bought a piece of land. This money for a car, which we want to buy, can help us to start with the first 2 to 3 rooms, which you can relocate because things are not working the same way. Unless they get to the point of agreeing without necessarily arguing. If the argument is too much, don't spend the money. Keep it on hold until you become sober so that you can move forward. Very key. Because sometimes rushing to make those hasty decisions or making decisions based on anger is what leads to a lot of losses and mismanagement by the end of the day. Now, there's a principle which one of my professors taught me, and he said, in life sometimes good things tend to hinder better things. I repeat, sometimes in life good things tend to hinder better things. Between the car and the house, which one is good and which one is better? You must come to a conclusion so that you don't put your money on what is good, but it will hinder the better option for your family.
You have to know what is good and better. Let's go to the comment section. We have Jakita who says, yes, and don't ask for details on how she spends the money as long as she manages the budget responsibly. Okay. I'm starting all the way down. So we'll find out what was the argument there. Family edition, what's more important, a home or a car? Okay. A good question, Jakita. How is a car important? Oh, definitely. I think Jakita had asked the same question. They act like men from the lake. Give them a chance to manage the estate. Evelyn from Mombasa. I don't know what men from the lake do, but I'll find out. And Jakita, on the other hand, equally said, and what about when both husband and wife have same plans and goal? One sees right and wants to build, the other sees left and wants to car. I think that has been addressed in the previous discussion. Let me get to Evelyn, who says, true men should take charge, but not think about wise finances. Evelyn, come here. Tell us more about that in the comment section. I believe Coach Collins is laughing out because he has some details to feed us with when it's that. That's right, Coach. Plan ahead. And Isaac Mutua equally saying good discussioning happening right here. Coach, tumeulizwa maswali mengi sana pale, and I would love for us to handle most of them before the end of our cast. And for everybody that is joining us tonight on YouTube, you are very, very strong there. I can see all of you there. Thank you so much. The 15 of you, call your neighbors and your friends, tell them to come over because the conversation is happening in the ArtinHeart official right here on our YouTube channel. Coach Collins. Yes. Amesema kitu hapo nimesikia kumuita meeting, lakini nangoja niambie why. As she plans to tell us that in the comment section, I would like for you to help me out. We have a couple that are planning for holidays. Okay, both are working. And in this case, when the holiday comes, it's time to give in the money. One decides their money will not see the light, and the other one decides that your money will be spent on the holiday. And when you come back, you're still being asked to provide for the home as the man. Is this where you say that you shouldn't ask what we do with our money, or is this an issue of diverted accounts?
Now, one of the big challenges is that issues like holiday and time to rest, we get into them as if it's just like it's an ambush or an accident. Most of the couples who are good planners, for example, by the beginning of January, you're planning during December, you're going to go for holiday. So you come up with an account whereby you start depositing some amount of money so that by the time it is December, you have money for holiday because you are planning for it from the beginning. So it's not something you just come up like, I think we are bored, let us go for holiday. No. This is not a matter of buying chips by the road, home, or such kind of thing. Now, lack of planning from the beginning about how you'll enjoy your vacation is what brings crisis. Because by the moment you just decide, by the way, can we go for holiday next week? Then that one means you start budgeting from the amount of money you have that time or you're expecting by next week. Then one part will start feeling like, if I will contribute, also you are the man, you have to provide for the holiday. Or you are the woman who have to provide for the holiday. Now, one party or both parties start feeling the weight is too much. Something like holiday is something you need to build a culture of planning up front. And that's why the people from the West are better than us in their planning. Someone wants to come to Mombasa in December, they start saving. Not only that, today in Mombasa, we have local tourism at a very high stake. Do you know why? Very high, because most of the Kenyans start planning for December from January. They put some amount. That's why we must have a formula for the same. Come up with an account for holiday. Let the money stay there. Just like we plan for insurance policy for the education for our children. The same way. If you value rest and you value enjoying holiday. Very key. That's why by December, when people rush for holidays, by January, people are struggling January, it's 30 days, but it's as if it is 6 months. Why? All the money they made, all the money which they made within that particular short time, they have squandered all of it. They did not plan for it. And that's why people come with those ideas whereby don't go to the details of your wife's money. Just stick to your own. And sometimes I actually ask, why do we take our daughters to school? Why do we want them to be educated? Why do we want them to earn? Is it to earn money and have resources for themselves, and they forget about their role in the family as far as finances is concerned? That kind of mindset has brought a lot of problems. I had a friend of mine, I'll give an example, Liquiani. I had a friend of mine who was doing clearing and forwarding business. Then he sent for a car from Japan. Unfortunately, the 400,000 is sent to buy this car for his client. It landed in the hands of a con person.
Oh, yeah.
And it was such a bad thing. But fortunately, at that time, the wife had just received 1.2 million after finishing her internship in one of the big hospitals at the same time. So the guy felt like, wow, it is good. At least I've been conned. And she requested the wife, please, I've been conned 400,000. My client has a balance of 400,000 to give me upon the car arriving in Kenya. I've just noticed you are given 1.2 million. Can you just lend me 400,000? I get another car for my client. When I'll be given the balance, I refund the money back to you. And the wife told him, my money belongs to me, myself, and maybe my people. Your problem, solve it by yourself. It brought issue in that marriage. The guy got so stressed. Auctioneers were brought into the house. The guy was arrested. He was taken to the police station. Police were called. Auctioneers were brought. Everything was taken in that house, while the wife still has 1.2 million in her account, because our culture states, even if your wife works and earns all her money, it belongs to her. The husband has to take responsibility of all financial baggage in the house. Today, they're divorced.
Wow.
As we talk.
Finances and marriages that don't work. Sadly, many wives realize that for some points, their spouse won't take wise decisions concerning finance in terms of priorities and planning. So they end up securing themselves. Offshore accounts zenye ziko huko Pandora, ama ni Pandora papers. Isaac Mutuma, good evening to you, sir. How are you tonight? There are some circles that have a provision for holiday accounts where you save 11 months, then you withdraw when time comes. Oh, yes. Yeah. Isaac, I would love for you to share with us the contacts with these people so that we can actually bring them on board to help these families improve their living lifestyles and standards. Thank you so much. Was it Pastor Isaac?
Yeah, it's Pastor Isaac Mutua. We schooled together. We did theology together some years back. He's a good friend of mine.
Awesome, awesome. Pastor, we salute you. Good evening to you. Exactly, Coach. You can say that loud. Why do we take our daughters to school? And again, Jakita with the rejoinder says, you're right, Coach. The key is planning and agree on a budget and project. And I think all through and through, we have established that actually planning stands out when it comes to the question that Jonjo had asked us earlier on tips on how to manage family finances. I know this is a little bit out of topic, but I would like for you to address it, Coach. There's something called debt in family. Probably something happened and you have debt. There's a scenario you've painted to us of people that were auctioned. So in the case of a family and finances are not doing so well because of one reason or the other, and you have debt to settle so that you can come free of debt, what are the main possible approaches one should take to, to settle out the debt and probably try get their neck out of the water?
First, when you think about taking a debt, take a debt which you know it's on a project which can generate resources and you pay back. But in case the project goes down, you need to come up with a fallback plan. Fallback plan, depending on the debt and the pressure you are getting, might include, there's some things you bought for business. Do you need to dispose them to recover some money and pay back? That's key. Maybe you took a loan because of buying things like sofa set, television. There's some people do that, especially when they're still new in their work environment. Television, a phone, and those kind of stuff. And now you have realized that your salary is being slashed extremely so much. Do you need to dispose them so that you can be able to be free from that pressure? Sometimes it may also require you to take a fallback plan, even the location where you stay. If you are paying 40,000 per month, and still you can relocate to another location whereby you can still get the 3-bedroom house at 30,000, it means 10,000 float you're going to have. And remember, who cares anyway? Because sometimes we want to live for people who are not dying thinking about where you are staying. So you're just frustrating yourself for nothing. A work plan must come on how you can clear your debts. Or what can I start with the little amount of money I have now, which will help me to reduce the pressure of debts which I have. So these things happen, and sometimes someone will be having a debt and it's deducted from the salary and the pressure is not so much. Then you can think about other ways in which you recover, you generate resources so the pressure is not so much. That's why we recommend in our world of today, have more than one source of income. Don't depend on your salary alone. No, you need multiple sources of income so that in case where you work, you get terminated, you not get into stress and you become suicidal. You'll still have another source of income to buffer what you are getting. So meaning that we need to separate the difference between the job we have and the work. Work is all based on your talent and gifts. What are some of my talent and gifts I can start using to generate resources for myself in time, even as I'm waiting for my check by the end of the month? So creating more sources of income will become a good buffer in the days of evil, when your business does not work and the debt collectors are on your neck.
Thank you, Coach. But I will equally want you to just tell us, not everyone can be a businessman, right?
Yeah, it's true.
So for those who are planning to have multiple sources of income, should they actually venture into business without knowledge of managing or doing business?
One great scholar said, making money is a skill, and it's a skill which one can be taught to learn. And business is all about solving people's problem. So that one means that if you get a good coach, a good mentor, or you get to an institution whereby they train people to develop their skills, then you realize there's always an ability you have which can bring solution and generate resources back to you. So business does not mean necessarily you have to sell something. I'm in business. One of the business I do is professional speaking. I don't have to sell, but I can talk and I can be paid for that. Or when people come with issues, they talk, I can use my ear to listen to them and my skills in the therapy or counseling, and still I earn. I can sing at the same time. We always have some abilities. That self-awareness is what we are lacking. Because when you think about business, think about having a shop, having M-Pesa, then you realize you cannot start because the capital will become an issue. But you have history of people who have made it big by even starting to sell groundnut, njugu. And out of it, I know of someone who were together in church, he came and he told me that I'm fed up, I can no longer stay in Mombasa, I want to go back to up country. He was trained as a surveyor, that was his career. And I asked him, okay, so what can you do? He told me that I'm a profession, I'm a surveyor. The job where I was, I've been sacked, and I feel like I need to go back to my up country in Western Kenya. Then I asked him, what about if you start a business as small as selling mandazi? If it can generate resources to you, can you do it? He said, yes, but I don't have skills. Then there's a woman we had in church who had skills of making mandazi and scones. He was taught, this guy went down as a surveyor to humble himself to be taught how to make mandazi and scones. He got the skill and he started waking up at 3, preparing them, and by 5, before people go to work in Mombasa, he's out selling mahamri, mandazi, and scones. And also juice. He was also taught how to make juice. It just took 3 to 4 months. All the other people are selling the same stuff in that place. They had to close down because his was better than the others. Then there's this guy who had a very big shop in that society, that location. When he saw how this guy was so hardworking, he told him, I'm going back to my country, Tanzania, and I want to sell to you my business because I've realized you are a competent business person. And the guy told him, how much can I pay you? He said, he gave his quotation, told him, that amount of money, I don't have it right now. Let me give you what I have and give me a span of 6 months to pay the rest while I'm running the shop and I'm running my mandazi business. He paid some amount. The guy went to Tanzania every month. He was meeting his targets, paying him, and the shop finally belonged to him. He was a surveyor, but he learned the art and the skill of creating solutions and making money. And finally, he became the biggest shop owner in that particular society. So
one thing,
making money is a skill which people need to be taught.
Yeah, awesome that
However,
we are teaching each other how to make money, coach. But there's one lesson that I draw from that is the fact that this guy committed to settling his debt, that he had acquired this property, and he actually worked through by managing his finances and actually settling to be able to become the legitimate owner of a business. What a way to actually come to the climax of this conversation tonight, especially for people whom marriages could be on the rock, not because they have been the worst couples, but because something as simple as money is making them have problems called money problems. Coach Collins, how can we get you if we want to converse with you on matters, family, and other issues?
If you want to get me, you can call me on my number 0721 605 346. You can also find me in Instagram and Facebook at the same time. However, if you are in Mombasa, Moi Avenue, opposite Toyota Kenya, we have a money counseling where every Tuesday and Thursday I offer counseling therapy. However, I still offer online Zoom counseling therapy. If you need it, contact me. We can organize for a Zoom and we do one-on-one therapy together with you. However, also on YouTube, my channel is Rebuilding Family Foundation. That's another place you can get a lot of things which are put to do with the family, and you can continue to learn one day after the other. Back to you, Ellie.
Definitely. You come here to Family Edition, you get Coach Collins services free of charge. You want to contact him at a professional level, of course, which he is serving with all the diligence. Do so and enjoy a one-on-one consultation with him. And, it's not a bad idea to pay for knowledge that makes sense to you and your loved ones. Until next time, my name has been and is always Likuyani Eli. My guest has always Coach Collins Bolo. Reach him out on 254-721-605-346. We wish you a great weekend. See you tomorrow night on Against All Odds with these young men from the Eastlands making music and entertainment their solace, above all, changing their stories. Have a great night and God bless you. We leave you with a beautiful rendition here by one and only Tonia. Inasema ni kuabudu. Good night and God bless.
Moyo wangu wa kutamani kuabudu. Ndiyo tamaa yangu milele, Yesu, ni kuabudu. Ni kuabudu Bwana, ni kuabudu. Ndiyo tamaa yangu milele, Yesu, ni kuabudu. Ni kuabudu Bwana, ni kuabudu. Ndiyo tamaa yangu milele, Yesu, ni kuabudu. Haba chini ya bawa zako, sala ni moja, kwamba kwa macho haya yangu nione utukufu wako. Tenda miujiza Baba, tenda maajabu, kwani fadhili zako ni bora kuliko uhai. Haba chini ya bawa zako, sana ni moja, kwamba kwa macho haya yangu nione utukufu wako. Tenda miujiza Baba, tenda maajabu, kwani fadhili zako ni bora kuliko uhai. Ni kuabudu Bwana, ni kuabudu. Ndiyo tamaa yangu milele, Yesu, ni kuabudu. Ni kuabudu Bwana, ni kuabudu. Ndiyo tamaa yangu milele, Yesu, ni kuabudu. Ni kuabudu Bwana.